Let's be honest, last year, we couldn't have got closer to being promoted, from bottling it on the final day of the league season to bottling it in the playoff final. I've gone away with my FC United team. This is season 4 at this club, season 2 in the National League. This year, I hope, is going to be that year we go that one step further. Let's make it happen, shall we? Yes, folks, how is it going? And welcome back to FC United. This is episode 23 of Puck to Prem. We are back in the National League, and to kick things off today, we're taking on Woking. It's not the most sexy of games to start the season, but they are a team that have been pretty consistently finishing just outside the playoffs. They're not going to be pushovers. And of course, we've been a little bit busy since you were last here. The season preview is nice to us. It predicts us to finish third, but with Notts County and Southend, kind of two teams who are very good at this level and have a little bit more money than us, I'm not expecting this to be plain sailing. And in fact, when you look at the Media Dream 11, we've got a couple of players. We've got Quansah, we've got Cannonair, and then there's someone new, Darren Richards. We'll talk about him in a moment. But first, let's talk about the people who have departed us, who are no longer with us at FC United, because we have moved some people on. And perhaps the most notable of the departures over the summer was Matthias Fischini. I've said his name incorrectly for a number of years. Maybe it's just for the best that we've moved him on. We've sold him on to Wimbledon, £110,000 for a player we picked up for a free transfer. Not an insignificant sum of money. Last year, he was playing a lot for us as a box-to-box midfielder, which, to be honest, isn't really a role he's good at, but he was kind of so good I wanted him in the starting 11, but I couldn't justify moving players like Butterworth out of position in order to facilitate him. So ultimately, £110,000 is a pretty decent sum of money. And on top of that, if we just take a quick look at clauses, we did get a 50% profit of any sell-on. So if he gets sold on for some big money, and at 20 years old with the value he's got, that could happen. We are set to benefit longer term from it, which is always nice. Elsewhere on the departures, another player going to AFC Wimbledon was Capozzuto. It's almost as if AFC Wimbledon were just kind of stalking our team. They've picked up Capozzuto for 38k. He wanted out. He wanted to leave the club. We signed him for 2k a couple of years ago. Had a couple of okay seasons with us. I feel like describing last season as okay is a tad generous. A 6.69 rating isn't good enough, so another player that we cashed in on. Elsewhere as well, Harry Wallace was moved on simply to save some wages. He's gone to Scunthorpe United to be a squad player in our own division. I have no doubt he will score against us now that he's playing for another club. And the last player who did leave us was Stuart Booker. He was a really hot prospect when we first took over the club a few years ago, but upon a couple of promotions, he's not really improved. He's not going to be good enough for the first team. The kind of player who I will probably look to cash in on at the end of the year. As you can see, last couple of seasons been on loan way below the level that we play at. And just a little bit behind the curve. Elsewhere, worth acknowledging, a few players were released over the summer. The most notable, I think, is probably Yannick Azayakounu. Of course, he was captain when we took over the club. You can see, having left the club, the recommendation is an E for him. Just wasn't good enough anymore. Kind of a sad state of affairs upon back-to-back promotions. He was a key player for us last year. He just didn't make a single appearance. So he has moved on. Elsewhere, Declan John at left back has moved on. Rodwell Grant, another player who was fairly significant a few years ago for us, but to be honest, just wasn't the player that we needed in our team last year. Only played a handful of games. Our squad last year was a tiny bit on the bloated side, so lots of these players just a case of trying to trim the fat off a little bit. One more player who we will just acknowledge, Mbeka, was really good for us for 1 year. Last year, kicked up a stink, wanted a loan out. We loaned him out. His contract was up. Wasn't going to renew it. An F for his summary. He is apparently even worse than Yannick Azayakounu. That really is saying something. So those are the departures, and this is normally the bit where there's loads of sexy new signings. And whilst a couple of these new signings I'm very excited about, it's not really been a revolution on last year. It's been an evolution, you know. We've not moved up a division. I feel like we were so good last year, I didn't want to upset the flow of this team too much. But what we have added is some good quality in some important areas. The first player to join us is Regan Booty, 29 years old, bit of experience. He can play left back as well as CDM and centre mid. For us, he is going to play as a wing back on the left-hand side. Comes with the added bonus that he is good at corners. He is okay as well at free kicks. If we just compare him to Dylan Crowe, who is going to be our starting right back this year, you can see he is a big step up from what we have on the other side of the pitch. I did have a look at right backs. I just couldn't find one within our budget that I was that happy with. It is perhaps worth noting we have still got £3,000 in wage budget. So like last year, we could still delve into the market in the right back area if we want to. The next of the new additions we have is Tumelo Maki Hafini. I'm going to just call him Tamello. I think that's going to be simpler. If he ever gets a one-on-one, I'm not going to be able to say that last name quickly. It's not going to flow off the tongue. This guy, really versatile squad player, 21 years old, but has been capped for Ireland's under-19 level. We picked him up on a free transfer from Dulwich Hamlet. He previously joined them from Nottingham Forest the year before. He was promoted last year as one of their big key players at centre mid. For us, he comes in as a bit of a squad option. Really just the direct replacement, I suppose, for Cabazuto, if you want to look at it like that. And whilst perhaps he is a downgrade, Cabazuto was on £800 a week. So we've saved a little bit of money. The squad depth at centre mid is obviously good with Regan Booty, and it's also good with Jake Garrett in the side. Now, this man is going to be dislodging Jones as the ball-winning midfielder this year, which kind of pains me to say, because you guys know by now, I love Jones. Really, really good player for us, the centre mid. Obviously was with us at Three Bridges, has kind of just jumped up the leagues with us over a number of years. I feel like a bit of an unsung hero. I feel like if he was a striker doing what he's done with us, we'd sing his praises way more. But Jake Gareth, I mean, you can say here, or Garrett, I should learn the player name, shouldn't I really, is just way better defensively. He is a very, very good ball-winning midfielder, but, and there is a bit of a caveat here, his player traits aren't perfect. You can see here, 12 marking, 13 tackling, good aggression, physicals are solid, mentals are very good, good teamwork, good work rate, but he does have the player trait gets forward whenever possible. Now, I'm hoping that playing him as a ball-winning midfielder on defend with the hold position instruction is going to try and stop him from going walkies, but maybe be aware of that. He can also play left back, so some good squad depth in the left back position also added with this signing. His crossing is a little bit lacking. He and Regan Booty, kind of obviously two very similar players, can play centre mid and can play left back. We might switch them around as the season goes on if one of them struggles, but at least to start the year, Jakey Boy is the ball winner that lots of you were screaming out for me to sign. And then, well, we come to two further transfers. We'll talk about the one that is on this screen first, which is Darren Riches. He is 18. He is in the Media Dream 11. He is bloody brilliant. Signed from Newcastle. There was a certain striker we signed a few years ago from Newcastle who turned out to be quite good. I'm hoping that Darren is going to follow in his footsteps. As you can see, natural on the left wing, but can play anywhere across the front line, really. For us, he is going to be a super sub as a striker and as an advanced playmaker. You can see here he can play a whole host of roles and positions. A super versatile attacking player at 18 years old. Loads of room to potentially grow, potential to be a championship player. I mean, that would be very cool if that was true. Yeah, I like this guy a lot. Do not be surprised for him to come off the bench early on in the year and by the end of the season, just be a regular starter for us. Now, there is one more player that we signed before the season kind of ticked over, which means that because Football Manager is Football Manager, he's on the previous screen, and it is this man here, Liam Donaldson. Wow. Wow, this guy is crazy. 18 years old, another player we've managed to pluck away from a Premier League club. He was playing for Manchester City. We've snapped him up as a free transfer. He was just not contracted to them. He's on an expired contract. We're paying him £700 a week. He is a left-footed centre-back. He is going to play alongside Quansah at the heart of our defence. And I mean, you can see here when we compare him to Quansah. Yes, he's not as good in the air. He's not as jumpy, but as a defender, Liam here is absolutely exceptional. 18 years old. He's great. You know, maybe his heading's a tad low. There is one but. That is, he does have a release clause in his contract of £51,000 to a team in a higher division. Now, that is annoying, but he joined us so early on in the summer, the situation around his contract could change in the near future. And I'm going to pray to the Football Manager gods that when he comes to renew his contract, because he's going to be so happy with us after a couple of weeks playing first-team football, we might be able to get rid of the release clause. But yeah, very good player. Can also play left back, which is obviously always useful. He is definitely a big upgrade in our defence. So as I said, evolution, not revolution, I feel like the word of the day today. In terms of our starting 11, Donaldson slots in at centre-back alongside Quansah, Regan Booty at left-back, Garrett in the centre of the midfield. Of course, as I mentioned, Fekini has left the club. That means that Mohamed Ibrahim is going to become the regular starter as a box-to-box midfielder for us this year. The front line looks unchanged. It's going to be Gold, Maitland and Duffy. Of course, Duffy dislocated his shoulder at the end of last year. He's back. He's raring to go. He's hungry. Elsewhere in the team, we've of course got Tamello as an option on the bench who can play centre-back, can play right-back. Pretty useful player on a five-man bench to have. Jones is on the bench, done. I did look at potentially selling on, but there just wasn't sufficient interest in him, so he is still kicking around. Elsewhere, Richards is just crazy good, and alongside him, Cannonier as well. We've got two very, very scary subs that would probably walk into the starting 11 of any other team at this level. You can kind of see them compared to one another. They're pretty bloody brilliant. And you might have noticed AOK is still here. Yeah. The wages are annoying. What's more annoying is the fact I'm just not getting very many good offers. That said, Aston Villa and Norwich are apparently interested. I've been offering him out for 40k. You can see his guide price here, but I'm desperate to get a big sell-on clause. We signed at AOK for 25k. There is part of me that with all this Premier League interest thinks, maybe I should give him a second chance this year. Am I losing my mind? Please let me know. Obviously, he's been playing truant and being absent from a lot of games last year. His squad status has dropped to emergency back, but he was actually not upset with that. And at one point, he did request his transfer request be withdrawn. I rejected that. I kind of still want him out. But at the same time, there is part of me that wants to give the bad boy another chance. And it's kind of difficult to justify. Maybe I'm losing my mind. Maybe I should just sell him for less and accept it. But I want this big sell-on clause. You know, if we could get 25k for him, which is what we paid, and a sell-on clause, I'd probably take it. That offer hasn't materialised yet. We did agree one deal at one point. I think it was with Dundalk, who are an Irish club, and then he turned down their contract. So he's still here for now. But anyway, let's get into this first game of the season, taking on Woking. We've run through the team already. It's a strong 11. It's a good 11. I like it a lot. Butterworth, Duffy, two players who were pretty standout last year. I feel like with Fuscalini leaving the team, we should be a little bit better balanced in the midfield. Last year, we kind of had one too many playmakers to try and fit in the starting 11, it felt like. But this year, I feel like we've maintained our quality, added a bit more depth, a bit more versatility, slightly smaller squad, to be honest, but I think that is going to work to our benefit. Going to be very interesting to see how the Regan Booty experiment, sticking him in at left back, is going to go, and also how Donaldson does. I've got really high hopes for the two 18-year-olds we've picked up in Donaldson and also the other guy. The guy whose name I can't remember, he's on the bench. What's his name? Should learn my player names. Darren Richards and Donaldson. They're the two men that this year I'm very hyped about. 18 years old. They've got a lot of years left ahead of them. They're the kind of players that could be in the Championship with us in 5 years' time. I'd like to think. Let's see if either of them can show up with a big performance to announce themselves on the main stage today. Anyway, big ball forward to Maitland. Searching ball wasn't quite there. But we do still have the ball with Dylan Crowe. Still in at right back. I know that's not going to please everyone. And we have got the money to reinvest. Right back, perhaps the position I would look to improve. Well, Donaldson is on the ball. He's got Regan Booty to his left. He looks right, though, to Duffy. Back to goal. Plays out to Dylan Crowe, who... well, Mr. Assister himself. He's going to be looking for his first assists of the season today. Ibrahim with the ball. Pulls it back to Garrett. Of course, Garrett has that player trait to get forward whenever possible. So I'm kind of keen to see how he behaves as the holding midfielder. And well, Butterworth, starting this year how he ended last year, missing an opportunity. Almost half an hour gone in this game. It's been pretty even thus far. Not a whole lot of opportunities either way. In fact, it's going to be Woking with the ball here. Hughes to McCarthy. Plenty of men behind the ball for us. We're looking to press high up the pitch, but it's going to be a big searching ball over the top to Fletcher that finds its way into the back of the net. Tom Fletcher scoring from what seemed like an impossible position. Not sure what Nathan Harker's doing there. I was hoping to start this season with a lovely win at home, you know, against a team that really we should be winning against. And while this finish here, is it a great finish? Is it questionable goalkeeping? Is it a bit of column A, a little bit of column B? All I know is I'm annoyed. 1-0. 41 minutes gone here. We've been on top in this game, and there is going to be one more highlight perhaps before the half wraps up. Donaldson wins his header and nods it down to Duffy. We've not created a great deal, to be honest, but we have been the better team. Garrett, as the balling midfielder, getting a booking early on scares me a little bit. He's going to have to walk a tightrope today on his debut. Quansah with the ball wide to Dylan Crowe. He's got an option down the line in Maitland. Ibrahim and Crowe having their own little game on this near side. Now back to Quansah. Garrett in the middle was probably the ball. Or back down the line to Dylan Crowe even. He pulls it back to Duffy. Nice possession here. We're knocking the ball around with some swagger, some confidence. Is there a finish at the end of it? Gold has been fouled. He's earned a penalty. Nasiala, the assister for their goal, has given it away. Well, you saw this last episode and he missed it. If you miss this one, Gold, I might take you off pens. He's not missed it though, has he? He sent the keeper the wrong way. I think Stephen Gold just hates big matches. Maybe I should just drop him for all the big matches that prop up and crop up. Look, we've scored here. It's 1-1. More than what we deserve, to be honest, on the balance of play. And at the break, it's not exactly what I wanted to see, but it's a significantly better result than being a goal down, isn't it? But as optimistic as I might be because we've scored, still going to tell the players it's absolutely unacceptable. Going to try and encourage them as well. Do more in this second half. Prove that you're worthy of praise. We're predicted to finish third in the league this year. The board, they want playoffs. And just as a little reminder, as we experienced last year, this is a difficult league to get out of. I know there is this expectation because of how well we did last year and the improvements that we will do well again this year. That is not how the National League works. This is a division you can get stuck in Football Manager with the one automatic promotion spot, especially with teams like Notts County going down and, of course, teams like Southend just underperforming so much last year. It's a game of fine margins. It's a league where any drop points can cost you, and it's why games like this are so important, and we have to take our opportunities like Maitland has taken that one. 2 goals either side of half-time see us turn around the 1-goal deficit, and it's a really, really nice goal in the end. Ball surrendered in the middle of the pitch, and we sprung at the trap quickly. Booty won his header, Butterworth to Duffy. Maitland breaks the offside trap, slots it into the bottom corner. That is what we want to see. If we could get a couple more just to help me chill out to start the year, that would be lovely. And well, we might be able to do just that, because a matter of moments later, there's a big goal kick. We win the header. I think it was Donaldson again there with it. Butterworth with the ball to Garrett. Kind of pulling the strings from deep, Garrett. And then Maitland, big searching ball to Gold, who he's not that quick. He's definitely not quick enough to get to that one, unfortunately. I think if the roles were reversed there and Maitland was the man playing getting the ball played through to him by Gold, he might actually have got to that one. But that's not what Gold's game is all about, is it? Either way, we're going to keep hold of the ball here. I feel like every chance right now is us going forward, then their goalkeeper just booting it clear and we come back at them. It's a relentless onslaught. And then Nasiala has just murdered Stephen Gold completely unnecessarily. Woking are now down a man. This feels like the kind of game where we should just go for it. I'm going to bring in Jones, and I'm also going to move Donaldson to left back and then bring in the new signing, Tumello, to play centre-back. Tumello isn't the perfect centre-back to have on the bench, but he is useful coverage. In this kind of game here, I want to just basically make sure that we keep 11 men on the pitch. Let's take off the 2 players on bookings. It's kind of annoying that it's Booty and Garrett who picked up the bookings, because they are the kind of players who I'd shuffle around to maybe bring on a man in midfield. Garrett can slot in at left back and Booty goes off. But because of the way it's played out, they both have to come off. So we are maybe slightly compromised in our team now, but I think it's better to have a slightly worse 11 than to potentially risk going down a man, especially in a game like this where we have looked pretty good so far. And it's not like Jones is bad, is it? Although he is one of my favourites. So maybe it's just personal bias coming into it. Crow whips it in though. Gold hits the woodwork. It's going to be cleared away by Orr. Donaldson now playing at left back for us. A bit of a makeshift role for him. Hit the woodwork once. There could still be another chance here, although Donaldson just looks lost. He is a centre-back who's just been told to play left back, and I'll be honest, I don't think he's ever played it before. I mean, he can play it to an accomplished level, but he looks lost on the near side. It's not what his game's all about. 12 minutes left, going to make our last sub. I'm going to bring in Darren Richards for Duffy. Let's see what Darren Richards is all about. Championship potential, allegedly, maybe. He's the kind of man who I want to stick it in this game here and just watch him come alive. He's in the Media Dream 11. The media are hyping him up, but is that because of his ability or his reputation as a product of the Newcastle Academy? We might find out today. Maitland to Crow. It's whipped in. Butterworth was under the ball, but it's headed clear. But we still have the ball, and we're still higher up the pitch. Crow to Jones at the edge of the box. Plays it to Richards, who turns, lays it to Butterworth, who's going to aim for the bottom corner. Finessed effort just wide of the post. Time trickling away here. It is only still a 1-goal game, but I don't think that's going to matter. We have dominated this game. Perhaps a tad disappointing we couldn't score more, but as soon as they had that sending off, they struggled. In fact, in the second half, I don't think they had a single shot on goal. It was a good performance. It was commanding, even if the scoreline maybe doesn't imply that to the degree that I would like it to. Elsewhere, Notts County drew their opening game of the year and Southend won. They are the 2 teams that I'm kind of the most aware of, although, as we learnt last year, often it's teams that are kind of surprise packages at this level that kind of hit the ground running, get some good momentum, and end up being the team just being a thorn in your side towards the top of the table. But I don't know, with how things look right now, yeah, Southend and Notts County, they're the 2 that I am scared of. Now, in terms of when we're going to be back next time, I'm not entirely sure yet. Both Southend and Notts County, we actually take on not for a little while. We've got a long run of games prior to that. I'm sure some teams will emerge as rivals at the top of the table and for the playoffs. I feel like this season is going to be a case of getting games under our belt, hopefully putting ourselves in a commanding position towards the top of the league and winning the FA trophy. That's my mission for this year. Whether or not I can make that happen, we're going to have to wait and see. If you have enjoyed today's video, as always, do drop a like on it. Let me know what you make of our transfers. Am I right to be excited by Donaldson and by Riches? For me, they are two players that just look like long-term fits that we can bed into the team and hopefully build around. Of course, I'm hoping next episode we'll come back and Donaldson will have signed a brand new contract with no release clause, and it won't be anything that I have to worry about. It is just worth noting as well, when it comes to Riches, he does also have a release clause. So yeah, ideally we get rid of both of those in the next month or two. Whether or not we can make that happen, you're going to have to stick around to find out. As you can see here, Riches doesn't want to talk to me just yet. I'll see you tomorrow for more Park to Prem action, and well, until then, it is me, Jack, and I'll talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.